of me is skin and instinct, shedding light on favored fallacies, misguided moralities. They're tugging at my elbows and nipping at my knees. You must blend in, you won't ever win. I suddenly can't keep listening. Shed that harassment like second skin. Welcome to Adventurous Spirits. I'm your host, Courtney Matz. I'm a singer-songwriter and a creativity coach. And I started this podcast to encourage the adventure inside of each of us. There's so many times in life where we are taking on a challenge that seems bigger than we can handle. But I think that's just an opportunity to find out what we can really do. So I welcome you to episode 40. We're talking about playing pretend. So I'm going to start off by playing this song about pretending. It's called The Least Pretending. The world outside has nowhere to hide except inside my own mind, making connections between thoughts and feelings, warts and healing. Let's start revealing what's really going on. You ever have those moments where you are like, I don't think I am paying attention to reality right now. I'm just pretending in a world that I believe exists, and I'm trying to play the role that I think I should play, maybe for the benefit of others or for your own benefit, or just trying to avoid being found out for who you really are. And I have been in all those situations. Songwriting is great for keeping me honest, though, making me deal with how I actually feel in a particular setting. And I think it's worthwhile to do business with that reality because chances are there's a way out. There's a way to either recognize that I am playing a role or that there's a part of me that's being suppressed either by myself or by the situation. And it lets me say, hey, how do I get out of this? How do I stop pretending and feel more at home in the world in which I have every right to be, just like everyone else. Everyone else gets that liberty. So let's give it to ourselves. So just let that marinate as I sing this next part of the song. Let's start revealing what's really going on. I coax my pride from under the table, flex my hunger firm and stable, release these tangled curves from misery. I take my opinions off a shelf, barely recognize myself, fading in from black now. It's all coming back. Home, home has always been whichever place I do the least pretending, the least pretending. Home has always been whichever place I do the least. So maybe you're in a situation today where you feel pretty yourself. Or maybe you feel pressure to conform. Like what you really want in your heart of hearts is just not what you can do right now. And that is, that's just life, right? There have been times where I've been under the pressure of a deadline, self-imposed, and there have been times where I've been sitting in a editing suite late at night next to a client, and they have all the energy in the world, and they just want to carry on and figure out what's wrong with the video that I'm helping them with, and I just want to get out of there. I don't want to be there anymore. But it's not really an option at that point for me, who has committed to be in this with the client until they're satisfied. It's not really an option for me to just peace out, So these are all examples of different ways that we cannot feel at home in whatever environment we're in. But also, I think that's not something to shy away from. It's something to recognize. Sometimes there's something you can do, even a small thing. Like in the last instance I shared, I have the option to quit doing that work. Maybe not immediately, but that's eventually what I chose to do. I got out of video editing, at least for other people, for other clients, after 10 years, because I just wasn't ready to continue. I wasn't prepared to continue living my life that way. I didn't want that kind of pressure to create sitting next to a director. And then there are other times where you just say, I am taking 5 minutes away from this. I'm going to step away, get some air, remind myself that I'm still myself and I will get to do what I want soon. But right now, I have to be in this discomfort for a little while longer. And I'm sure you have been in both of those situations as well. So tell me right now, basically, how do you feel? Do you mostly feel like you have some control over your environment, like you can be fully yourself? Or do you feel like you gotta kind of pretend a little bit? I have to tell you, in performing, being a person who gets in front of people and puts on a show, like right now, there are a lot of times where I'm pretending. And pretending is not all bad. There are times to play pretend, because eventually that pretend becomes real. The more I smile, the more I act like I really want to do this right now. By the way, I totally do. This is not this is not a slam on this particular performance opportunity. But sometimes we get tired. Everybody gets tired. Everybody loses a little bit of faith, a little bit of steam. And we need an opportunity to kind of remind ourselves what we're in it for and how fun it can be. So I will say, at this current moment, I'm like 90% myself with just a little bit of pretending in there. Mostly because at this stage of my career, I'm very comfortable playing music and speaking to a screen as well as to live listeners. But I think it's a worthwhile question to check in with ourselves periodically, especially in times of intense pressure when you're just trying to meet needs. And certainly we are in a time currently in October 2023, where there are global events that are creating extra pressures on all of us, and some of us more than others. So it's good to ask the question, how can I look out for myself right now? How can I make my truest self feel safe? And when it's appropriate, that self will emerge. And when there is a choice to be made, I will be able to make it based on who I am and what I need, what I want out of life. Because I have learned that there really aren't too many other people looking out for your interests, your deepest heart of hearts. It's your responsibility. It's my job to make sure that I get the life that I want as best as I can. I mean, obviously there are so many ways that we don't have a lot of control over it, but in the ways that matter, in the ways that I can choose, in the thing I do right now, in the way that I do it. Nobody else can make that choice for me. And as we dance this fiery unveiling, I agree. We were made for nonconformity. I am who I was always meant to be, at least partially. Whatever the case, I am learning, and we're learning, we're always learning, learning that home, well, it's always been, it will always be, whichever place, could be any place I can breathe. I'm free, free to believe in myself again, whoever that may be. Finally, no more pretending. I'm coming home. Coming home to ourselves. Learning to be more comfortable with ourselves as we are, not as we hope to be one day, or as we usually feel on a good day. And the only reason that I think this matters is because if I'm uncomfortable with myself, it's really hard for me to have grace for someone else. And in my experience, we're all at different levels of this. We're all in different places, day to day, moment by moment. We all have expectations of ourselves and one another. And when we can't just sort of recognize we're not always in an optimal mode of operation. In fact, we are frequently in suboptimal modes of operation. And we can make allowances and recognize that and accept it as a normal thing. That gives us a lot more freedom to just be who we are with one another. Tell me if you agree with that, or if that rubs you the wrong way. I would love to hear your thoughts. I really do. I really do want to hear what you think of that. Oh, Steve is here. Hello, Steve. Steve says, I'm pretty generally my true self, but I have a number of different true selves I can be. Oh, interesting. Yeah, right? Because there's a lot of ways that your true self expresses. You know, there are times, I think there are some people who really think, oh, Courtney is just like so administrative and organized. She like plans far in advance. I don't know how I give them that impression, but that could just not ever be true of me. There are times when I feel like I know what's going on, but it's usually because it's a thing that I care about so much that I have invested a lot of effort and time thinking about it. So I have all of the thoughts organized because they're just living in my head at all times. However, if you put me in an office and say, care about these databases, that's going to be a tough situation. I've done it, but I didn't love it. That was pretending. That was full-on pretending. But also for the sake of the people that I care about, being able to have what they need, that was that was where the authenticity came in. I do genuinely care about people. I don't always care about the means by which we look after one another. So anyway, that's sort of a little side tangent. I am actively, let me take a quick sip, pardon me. At this juncture in my life, I am actively making an effort to notice when I feel critical of myself. You know, I think we're always going to have opportunities in life to learn from mistakes and learn from ways that as an artist and a creator and a business owner, there are going to be ways to learn from my mistakes, learn from my expectations of a project that didn't quite turn out. And that involves critique and constructive criticism, and sometimes unconstructive criticism. And it's easy for me to internalize that and say, because this thing that I made is not 100% effective, then I'm bad at making things. And that's just so not true. And I know it's an extreme reaction, but you know, after all these years of doing it, I'm like, is it possible for me to not take all feedback personally? Is that an option for me? And I had a little mini breakthrough over the weekend as I was reflecting on my personality. I have studied a little bit of the Enneagram. I don't know very much about it, but I know a little bit more about my type just because, you know, self-defense and whatnot. So apologies if you don't know much about the Enneagram, or you know a lot more than I do. This might not strike you as all that relevant, but I am an Enneagram 5, and the core sort of fear of 5s, and I'm telling you a secret by letting you in on this, is that it's really easy for me to feel incompetent. And I hate feeling incompetent. That's like one of my core fears in life. I never want to approach something new because I'm scared that I'll be bad at it. And that's just how that works. When you take on something new, you just are bad at it because you've never done it before. But again, these are things we know and we don't quite, feel. We believe it just doesn't quite work out. So I had that realization that all these years when I get critique, when I get feedback, it's easy for me to then say, oh, this means that I'm incompetent. That's a core fear that I have, and it makes me never want to show anyone something I have made ever again. Now, obviously, I do this regularly, and so I get over that fear, but it just helped me a little bit to understand myself more, to recognize this is how I'm always going to want to take any advice or feedback or critique. I'm going to see it as a reflection of my competence. Whereas, if going forward I can set the expectation in my mind, this is a new thing that I'm making, and this will be the first time anyone outside of my mind is experiencing it. Let me get some friendly, low stakes, not easy to impress, but just people that it won't ruin my reputation if I don't impress them the first time, that kind of thing. Like a private, trusted group of people. Let's get them in here to evaluate my work and give me their honest feedback first before I go out there boldly proclaiming to the world, hey, I've got a new thing, check it out. Pretty sure you're gonna love it. Because then it's just a mixed bag. I think I can feel much more confident presenting my work when I know it's been tested by some trusted friends who will, honestly, most of the time that role is just being someone other than me. I just need perspectives from outside of my own imagination who are bringing their own references, their own first impressions, which it's impossible for me to have a first impression at this point. I've been sitting with this idea for so long. I know stuff about it that no one will ever know. So this is a pretty typical practice when you're creating, but it's a step that I skip a lot. And so that's something that I am committing to do differently in the future. So that's just an example. I hope that sparks something helpful for you, but I find that I'm not nearly as unique as I think that I am. And often when I tell somebody a story about my life, it makes sense to them for something in their life. So that's the reason that I say all that. So right now, I am in the middle of a series on my Power Notes blog, which is a daily email that gets delivered to your inbox first thing in the morning. And the idea is to encourage, just give you like one helpful takeaway for your day so that you can be more effective, feel more empowered in your creativity and in whatever tackling hard things that you're doing. So I'm hoping that this blog and this particular podcast that I'm talking about, that I'm performing right now, this podcast, Adventurous Spirits, I want them to go hand in hand. So I say that to reference Power Notes, which right now we're in the middle of a series on identity. And with that has gone a song that I wrote called Wandering Stars. And I played it on the podcast a few weeks ago, but I figured I'd play it again. Since we're still talking about identity today and coming home to yourself and recognizing where you feel comfortable. I always forget this first word. Well, let's just do the intro again. Fading on a hot afternoon, lost in a dream. I'm waiting for you lazily. It's late now, I'm afraid how everyone else knows. Who they are. Well, I'm pondering stars. Hazy in the brightening dawn, love was a song. I'm delayed, hate to move so far, just gathering stars. So far, so far, just wandering stars. And starting on Thursday is a new series, 8 Days of Creativity. And now I will play you the song for that series, just to give you a little preview into what's coming on Power Notes. So they told me I should work from 9 to 5 to stay alive. Toe the line, bide my time till I'm finally 65. Well, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Tell you what, it sucked. It took some time to recognize I'm cut from artist cloth, and I am called to be exceptionally creative in everything I do. It's not a choice I made, it's a life I'm made for. A roller coaster ride to heaven's door. Miraculous, enticing, comfort sacrificing, and every day I ask for more. Oh no, sometimes you cry, hang your head and sigh when best laid plans are compromised. Just close your eyes, don't criticize, it's fine though every freaking day is a surprise. Oh, 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 sing that with me wherever you are. Oh, 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 oh. Life is so much more than knowing what you're doing, where you're going, being open to the possibility. Hustle, bustle, toil, and trouble feels productive in a bubble. Wait, let's reevaluate the people, places, thoughts, and feelings out of nowhere. Humans being torn apart and put together. I don't want to miss it, whether life looks how I think it should or not. It's a life I'm made for, a roller coaster ride to heaven's door. Miraculous enticing, comfort sacrificing. Tell me, what else am I living for? Oh no, sometimes we'll cry, hang our heads and sigh when it's just way too much surprise. Just lift your eyes, watch the sunrise. Some things can be relied on, even if every freaking day is a surprise. Oh, you know how much we love a good surprise. Steve just gave me a new song idea. I ain't got nothing but creativity, babe. 8 days of the week, all and every day, yeah. Alright, I couldn't come up with something immediately, but yes, that's a great reference. 8 days of the week, starting Thursday, so that'll put us through to next week and then the Monday after that. So you can still access all of those posts, by the way, if you are joining late to the party. I charge $5 a month to get the whole blog, and there's a little takeaway at the bottom of each one that just trying to break it down for you so that it gives you a little more vision, hopefully, for what to do with this information. And if you have feedback, as we have just established, I love hearing from you and I love getting critique. I mean, theoretically, I do love it later. In the moment, often not so much. I can be transparent about that while also recognizing that I have greatly benefited from those brave souls who gave me their constructive criticism. So you are hereby welcome to let me know what you think of Power Notes, what you think of Adventurous Spirits, what you thought of this episode. You can email me, you can leave a comment, you can even just do a thumbs down or a thumbs up. I've only ever gotten thumbs ups. I know one day I will get a thumbs down and it will be a thing. It will be a thing that I'll probably talk about and sing about, maybe write a song about. But it needs to happen sometimes to give me a clue that I need to pay attention to something and make some adjustments. Things can be great and still need a little more work. So here I am saying to you, thank you for being part of this journey with me, and I bless whatever it is that you have coming up next. And I hope that you'll join me either on Substack, Power Notes, or here on YouTube for Adventurous Spirits and all the other places that we're creating and learning about the world together. And I'll see you next time. Have fun out there.